Chopped can make me cry a lot.
When somebody's doing it like for a loved one, or what's the thing that is it joy that gets you, or is it somebody's disappointment?
I don't know. I will tell you again. We're going down the dark path right away, but it was a all Korean cook episode, and one of the Korean cooks was talking about how she was adopted from Korea. And she went to a summer camp for Korean kids who were adopted by like American families so that they could like do culturally Korean things. I was very moved by that. I was like, I mean, I didn't know Adam and I did an episode with my sister, and I was like, maybe going to bring up going to like Jewish kid camp in Southern California. I don't know if y'all did any Jewish kid camp stuff.
Neither of us.
Not that Jewish kid camp is at the same level of like doing, Korean adoptee camp, but I just was like very moved by the concept of that, and I found it like quite profound.
And then she got chopped?
No, she actually won.
Okay.
So, well, here goes that episode for me.
Sorry to spoil the show.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So they're
It's all right. Yeah. I haven't seen Sixth Sense either.
Yeah.
But I was in a very heightened emotional state when I got the call about the it was a tortoise, it turned out, that they ran in to rescue and got severe burns.
Gosh.
And the tortoise did not survive.
That's the one.
That's so brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, that one. That officially got me as that. Right.
yeah. That's okay. I'm sorry for whatever.
But I do think I would run back in for my animal. I love my dog so much. I know you just have a brand new dog, Todd.
Yeah.
I know you've got some children. Children, so you'd probably run back into the cues.
They're not so different than dogs.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah.
And they piss and shit.
I mean, so do we all. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they absolutely do.
Ben, it's been a minute since I've seen you. How old are your kids now? And how much have they gotten up to in number, like quantity-wise?
In terms of just numbers, like raw numbers, one is 7 and the other is going to be 3 in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Raw numbers.
Yeah. I think the first time we saw each other, although I could be wrong about this, was in New York during a heat wave when I was staying in the like abandoned home of a very wealthy college friend that had central air conditioning. And it was like 105 degrees outside. And I called Adam and was like, do you want to hang out? And I said, what are you doing? And I said, nothing. I'm just in this house that has AC. And he said, like, I will be there in 30 minutes. And can I bring 2 people with me?
Yeah.
And I was one of those 2 people.
Yeah, I think we like got pizzas and we're just in the air conditioning.
Wonderful.
And it was,
That sounds right.
Brutal New York summers. So
Yeah. Especially at that weird, shitty apartment that we first lived.
Yes. When you and I were roommates and there were no air conditioning, there wasn't even like fans. It was just
I had a window fan, but you didn't even have
I didn't have a window.
Yeah.
I never had a window the entire time I lived in New York.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that.
I used to sleep on the roof at my second apartment. I'd be like, it's too hot. I'm just going to sleep on the roof. It's going to be a lot easier and cooler for me.
Gingerbread Man down. Clean up on aisle podcast.
Welcome to Clean Up on Aisle Podcast, the dirty truth about grocery stores, and we are the dirtiest today. I'm your host, Jef Harmatz, joined as always by your other host, Adam Fligsten.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. And we're joined by a special guest today. It's Adam, one of your oldest friends? Is that fair to say?
Sure. I think it's fair to say.
Historian and history professor, Ben Feldman.
Hey there. A little disappointed to realize that you don't hear the theme song when you're in studio. I'm trying to pick myself up from that, and good to be here,
Yeah, welcome. Thank you you got off a plane yesterday, right?
Yeah, very late last night, many hours after I was originally supposed to, and Adam was waiting for me in Palm Springs for, like, I guess the entire day and night.
That's not true. No,
What happened?
That's not true.
What happened?
That's not true at all.
Okay.
But I did. You don't even know some of this.
All right.
I went down the hill because Ben was supposed to arrive about 6 p.m. give or take originally, or maybe
four originally.
No, but then it got pushed back
Yeah.
one time, so then it was like maybe 5:30 or something, 6 p.m. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I went down the hill. I went to Costco, and then he kept getting pushed back.
No.
So then I went back up, put my groceries away, picked up the puppy, put him to sleep, watched a movie.
Which movie?
No, it's actually a TV show. So that's embarrassing.
Okay.
That I
You don't have to say if it's too embarrassing what you watched.
It's a show called Revival. It's like a sci-fi, or no, it's like a real cheesy, paranormal-y type show.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Ben finally arrived almost midnight.
Yeah, after 11. I think back to the Innocents, like I was so disappointed when I thought I wasn't going to get here until 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
Where were you? What airport were you flying in from?
I was flying in from San Francisco International Airport.
Oh, so I just flew out of San Francisco. Not a top airport in my book. Was it San Francisco End?
I think it was more of an Alaska problem. I don't want to put them on blast because I'm currently asking them for money because of what I went through yesterday. But
And you're a loyal member.
and I'm a loyal, and that is important to me. But yeah, I think it was Alaska. I don't know that it was the airport's fault.
Okay. That's brutal because that's like a 90-minute flight, right?
Yeah, a little under.
I just did that a couple weeks ago. We visited a friend in Vallejo, and I really like that Palm Springs to San Francisco flight because it's usually pretty like easy peasy, and you're on and off. I wore an extremely stupid hat for my entire flight, and
What kind of hat?
I was a very serious version of Captain Crunch for Halloween this year, and I bought from a custom haberdasher in London, like a Bicorn Admiral's hat, and had it
Not shipped.
not shipped. My sister's husband actually wore it all the way from London to LAX, and then I wore it from Palm Springs to San Francisco and back.
It shows such respect that he wore it here instead of just packing it.
Well, I asked her, "Could you pack this?" And she said, "Oh yeah, of course." And then it arrived, and like, "Oh, we can't pack this. It's too beautiful to pack." So she made her husband wear it the whole flight.
That's a plain hat now.
Yeah. Were you wearing any stupid hats or anything?
Boy, I wish. I mean, had I known the conversation was going to go this way, I would have put something stupid on my head. But no, I wasn't wearing a hat at all, I'm sorry to say.
The stupidest.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing you can do.
Yeah.
Had you flown into San Francisco, or no? Had you flown into Palm Springs Airport before?
No, I never had. I've driven here on a few occasions, and I've flown to Los Angeles and then driven here, but I'd never flown. And I liked that you go outside a little bit at the airport. I just always spend time there.
Mostly an outdoor airport. I mean, on your way back, if you're flying out, I don't know if you're heading into LA after this, but
No, it's going home.
Palm Springs is, I'd say, the best airport I've ever been to. Better than even my hometown airport of Long Beach. Like, that's a really good airport, but Palm Springs kind of takes the cake. So
I look forward to spending 8 or 9 hours getting to know it on Wednesday.
have I talked about it on the podcast? The piece of art that I acquired.
No, not on the
Recently?
podcast.
I know you've seen it, Adam.
Yeah. As a loyal listener, I don't think I've heard
Okay.
about this. Yeah.
Very much of a baseball fan.
Oh, yes.
All
Very
right.
much so, yeah.
So, if you recall, just a few months ago, and what baseball fan could forget about the World Series, the top game in Major League Baseball?
It's a big one, right, Ben?
That's right. And all the best teams in the world play. Yeah, no, I know about it. Yeah, sure.
And I don't watch baseball that much, but the last couple of years, like, Dodger fever has gotten to me. We live in the LA area. I grew up in the LA area. My dad's a super Dodgers fan. My English nephews love the Dodgers. Where do you land on the Dodgers?
I'm fine with the Dodgers. I'm an Orioles fan. The Orioles beat the Dodgers in the World Series in 1966. Jim Palmer, as a 20-year-old, beat Sandy Koufax in his last game. I don't have any particularly negative feelings toward the Dodgers. I live in San Francisco. I have a lot of hostility and resentment toward the San Francisco Giants because the people that Adam and I grew up with who moved to San Francisco, I couldn't pay to watch an Orioles game with me, and then became Giants fans when the Giants won the World Series. And they hate the Dodgers for basically provincial Northern California reasons. And that makes me like the Dodgers because I have like anger and but also I appreciate excellence. And the Dodgers are very good.
Ohtani and
Yeah. Freddie Freeman seems like a nice guy. And Mookie Betts,
He seems fun.
who's also like the 275th best bowler in the world, which is cool.
I found like the one Blue Jays fan in the high desert to watch the World Series. Like we watched Game 7 at her house, and she was like really upset. Took it out very specifically on me as like just a guy from Southern California. She's like, "Fuck you!
Oh shit!
Your Dodgers be my Toronto Blue Jays." But an artist out here who I really admire, Adam Villison, who does like I guess pen and ink drawings. You would want to call him. He does a lot of like portraits, a lot of editorial work. I think he's just a mega talent, and lucky enough that he lives in the high desert. He's a super Dodger fan, so when the Dodgers won, he did this thing. He's like, I'm doing a special. If you ask me for any Dodgers artwork, I'll give you a reduced price. And I said, this is my moment. I've been obsessed with this as a not very serious baseball fan. This is my number one favorite baseball moment of all time. When Tommy Lasorda got hit by the baseball bat in the All-Star game.
Sure. I met Tommy Lasorda.
Really?
Yeah.
How was he? Was he nice? He seems cranky.
I think in real life, I mean, I've heard, and I don't know this, and I don't want to get sued by the Lasorda family, but I think he was like probably like a racist or whatever. But he was nice. I met him at an airport. I was going to the All-Star game in Atlanta in 1999. And a family friend had a relative who worked for the American League, and we had to go for free and like travel in limousines. And basically, we saw Tommy Lasorda. We got into a limousine, which we did not pay for, and he got into a cab. And then for the rest of the day, we kept running into him, and it was clear that he was trying to figure out like who we were and why we were important. And the secret that he never found out was that we're nobody and we aren't. But he was nice to us, I think, for that reason.
So you're a big enough baseball fan that you went to the All-Star game in 98?
98 or 99, I don't remember which.
What year did he get hit by the bat? Because I truly don't actually remember off the top of my head.
I don't know. And he's gone now, so we can't ask him.
That would have been amazing if it was the same year.
Yeah, I don't think so. I can picture it.
It was in L.A., and I got this drawing of just Tommy Lasorda up in the air on his head, his ass straight up. Adam saw it right after I got it. You described it as A+?
A+, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds great.
2001.
2001.
Never
so
forget.
It hadn't happened to him yet.
Okay, so you couldn't ask him about
No, his best days were still ahead of him.
I mean, that's what took him out of the game, right?
I think so.
Can I ask why you were in the limo at the All-Star game? Have I been in a limo before?
I'm sure you have.
That was the first time I'd ever been in one, I think.
Okay.
I think it was really just that, like, a guy my dad was friends with had a cousin who got to say, like, send a limo to the airport to pick somebody
Cool.
up. You know? We were not in any way involved or special or deserving of any specific treatment, but there we were.
My special moment at a basketball game was one of the Lakers NBA Finals and a box seat at the Staples Center. My dad's company shared it with like some fashion company, so it was like watching like Game 5 of the NBA Finals of the Lakers in it with a bunch of models. I was like, I don't know, 17, 16.
Nice.
You remember me when you met me. I was a pretty weird kid.
Yeah.
So I wasn't making the most of that.
You were wearing like Jesus shoes?
Probably Jesus shoes from my, not that I was religious, but I was on a Christian game show many times in high school for some reason. Probably wearing like The Tick shirt. I think I watched some Futurama in the box while we were at the game. So that's me squandering my fancy moment at a sporting event. Adam, what's your most
models?
Yeah.
But is your idea that, like, had you been wearing different shoes, you would have slept with the models? Or?
No, I was not a guy who would try to do that. But it's just when you put it out on paper like that, that is like so much dudes' fantasies. Like box NBA Finals full of models. Like, you know, that's what people want. It was not what I wanted as a 17-year-old.
No, Red, yeah.
So
you wanted a Tick reboot.
I got one. Yeah. Wasn't happy with that.
Well, that's true because the people who had that model fantasy, that never came true.
Yeah.
But you got 3 seasons in the Tick.
So y'all two grew up together, right?
Ish. I mean,
Yeah, actually, you know, later than you might expect because
Okay.
I switched high schools halfway through. So I met Ben when I was probably 16.
in the fall of 2000.
Yeah.
Before 9/11 changed everything.
Well, you mean 7-Eleven when Tommy Lasorda got hit.
That's right. Was that actually the date that was? That's funny. No, I saw Adam from across the American Civ room, and I said, I liked your vibe. Do you want to go to a Parliament Funkadelic concert with me and some other people?
Really? Is that true?
That is true, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, this is a small school. I think I had a sense that I found him appealing, but yeah. And we were fast friends.
Yeah, so much guys these days have a hard time like making platonic friends. Sometimes you just gotta have P-Funk tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was lucky. It was a small school. I think I was lucky because everybody knew each other, and I was like freshman.
There were only a couple of new people in the grade.
so it was like people were curious, which is not in a good way.
You go up and you smell him. And
Sniff his butt.
yeah.
So you're a history professor.
That's right, yeah.
What is your? I mean, we're going to talk about what I assume is one of your specialties, but what do you teach? What do you focus on?
Well, I'm a community college professor, so I teach world history to 1500 and world history since 1500. So,
All of it.
All of it, actually. But my like academic work is 20th century U.S. intellectual history, and it's about what was called third worldism, but basically like when radicals in the United States started looking at anti-colonial revolutionary movements, Cuba, China, et cetera, to try to develop like a radical politics for the U.S. So groups like the Black Panther Party being the most famous example of that, but sort of like the role that played in the politics of the left in the mid-20th century. But I don't really teach about that much because I'm normally talking about like the Mongols.
Okay.
You know?
Which was better, pre or post 1500?
Post.
Okay.
Post. Pre had its moments. Pre was scarier. I had to teach myself. I didn't have any background in it before I was asked to teach it. So I think I did a good job with it, but I like more recent history. It's more interesting to me.
We have more episodes of Friends in post 1500.
That's true. Yeah, before there's like what there's
100% more. Oh.
no, I think there's like 2 or 3 before.
Right. Yeah.
It's been on for a while.
Yes, which older than you think it was. But for sure, most of them are since our post-Renaissance.
So you grew up in Maryland.
I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland. And again, I'm a dedicated listener. So.
Okay, so you know all the questions. I'm sorry we skipped ahead on this part.
No, it's okay.
We're recalibrating a little bit.
I just figured we'd talk about jellied eels and Haley Bieber, and I was unmoored. It started with the fact that the theme song didn't play, but yeah, I'm
yes. What were your memories of shopping?
Well, Adam and I were talking about this a little bit, and that it was, we grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, which was a pretty small town, and there was Grawls and the Giant, both of which are...
Sorry, what? DeGrawls?
There was Grawls.
Rauls.
Okay.
And Giant, which is like, a Giant is kind of like Safeway-ish, but maybe...
A little nicer.
Yeah. But there was a place called Fresh Fields, later purchased by Whole Foods. And when Fresh Fields opened in the Harbor Center, it was like a very big deal. You could buy ciabatta. You could buy an avocado there. Mm-hmm. You could get little samples of bread with raisins in it. And I'm very particular about grocery shopping. Mm-hmm. I have my routines. I have like the place that I buy my meat and my fruit and my fish, and a different place that I get my intermediaries, and then another place where I get my children's snack food. And I think that my love affair with the grocery store began the day that Fresh Fields opened up.
Really? So you said ciabatta. Why? How old were you when you noticed ciabatta? When ciabatta caught your eye?
I was probably 12 years old, yeah. The time when a young man's fancy turns to love.
And so, like, I don't know, were you buying a lot of ciabatta? Like, I was
I didn't have any money.
Okay. I was like a 12-year-old that would, like, spend my allowance on baguettes. My parents saw me like writing back from, they opened at Bristol Farms in Long Beach, which was like kind of a high-end grocery store. And I think I was dazzled in days. Like I was like, oh, this corned beef is the best corned beef I've ever had. And like the baguettes are 2 for $1. I'm going to get 2 back. Who could resist that deal? And I'd like bike home with baguettes and stick it out of my backpack and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Were you into the fancy stuff at the time?
I never put food in my backpack, but I think the thing that I really liked were those apple ciders, with the sparkling apple ciders. Martinelli's, which seemed incredibly fancy to me at the time.
Yeah. I think I was the same way. I think because they weren't that expensive, were they?
Wait, that little grenade one? Is that the one you're talking about?
Those weren't sparkling.
The big, they look like champagne bottles.
Yeah, sure, okay.
And not quite a Magnum, but in the mind of a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed to me to be the height of sophistication.
Well, because when you're at like Passover or whatever, that's what they give you as a kid, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So it feels like, oh, I could buy that for myself. Like, yeah.
And they were like $3 or so. Like they weren't
something like that. Yeah.
So, and then did you like go with your parents or?
Yeah, I mean, I was 12, so I would normally go with them or somebody else's parents, I suppose. Okay. But yeah, I would go, and you'd see people from school. It's like everybody would go to the Fresh Fields, which was right by the Baja Fresh, which we also talked about earlier. Similarly, a big deal.
There was when we're talking about my experience with the Bristol Farms in Long Beach, there was also a Baja Fresh not too far from that.
Wow, interesting. Yeah.
Is that the signs of gentrification, fancy grocery store Baja Fresh?
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I really am. I've thought about it a lot as a listener, and I'm very particular about my grocery experiences. And I feel tremendous joy when I'm in like a very, very fancy grocery store. But I also think that being in a store that doesn't have the right layout makes me feel almost like despondent. And I do think it maybe started with this Freshfields experience, which opened my eyes to like a grocery store with a plan and samples and the idea that like the grocery store is full of possibility.
Yeah, something like a cut above, and you never know what they'll present to you.
That's right.
And you have been in San Francisco most of your adult life, right?
Mostly. I went back to the East Coast for grad school, but
Okay. Where was that?
Georgetown University.
Okay. How do you find? I'm obsessed with this. Like if you listen to the show, you know that like for me, like the New York or East Coast urban grocery store is totally different from like and even in Los Angeles, like which is a big urban epicenter, or I would still call it like very suburban vibes. And I can't speak so much to the Bay Area, but it still feels bigger and more sprawling than like your East Coast urban areas, right?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, it's a pretty dense city, but yeah, it's not like New York in that way. But yeah, my grocery experience is now there's a place called Buy Right, very fancy, and that's where I get my meat. And I want it to be like pretty expensive, but not too expensive. Mm-hmm. And then I go to Gus's, which is a co-op for most groceries. And then every 2 weeks, I get groceries from Safeway because it's unionized. So as far as like the big chains, I feel like pretty okay about it.
Is Safeway
Vons?
That's Vons.
Yeah. And that's where I get things that like are disgusting to me, but my children really like Bluey yogurt tubes and veggie straws.
Mm. It is. I'm not a parent. I'm just a dog owner, but I think, and Adam is perhaps learning this. Like Adam is a very serious vegan, which I admire. But having the kids, having a dog, you kind of have to bend your ethics a little bit.
I've bent it all the way. I've not even like right now. My zone with him is once he gets like stable and comfortable, I'm gonna slowly start to push a little more vegan shit in there. But right now, I just want to keep the guy alive.
You're giving him the dog equivalent of the Bluey yogurt tube.
Yeah, I'm basically trying to keep them alive is my thing too. Like I always had this idea that I would be like, here's what we're having for dinner. Like I made it. It's saffron risotto with Dungeness crab, and you're going to be very happy with this. But the trump card is that at least the older one will be like, well, then I'm not going to eat tonight.
Wow.
And she means it, and like. She's got to eat or she'll die.
Give her some American cheese on a wheat thin or something like that, right?
Yeah, pretzels and yogurt and whatever it is. Yeah, do it.
How often are you shopping? Like, because you're in a pretty, like, you can walk around and grab stuff. Do you do, like, a lot of walking to grocery stores?
I do a big shop on a Sunday.
All right.
And I have a plan for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday dinner. And then I normally do a supplemental Thursday or Friday shop to get me through the weekend.
All right.
Specific plan,
and is that when you're going to like your fancier, like you're going to the Buy Right is where you get the more high-end meat?
That's right. Yeah, okay. I supplement my bigger thing with like another round of meat and fish and things like this.
Okay. And you're the shopper in your household?
Very much so, yeah.
Okay.
I'm shopping to cook.
You haven't said the 3-year-old yet?
No, I do there's a strict division of household labor, and I do the cooking and the grocery shopping.
Okay. Do you bring your kids to the grocery store?
Almost never. And in fact, although I feel very guilty about it, I do a lot of grocery delivery. Because I often end up being at home with the kids on Sunday and just feeling like I need to get these things done. And there are these other, projects or whatever it is. And I get things delivered to the house.
Okay, so you're not even going in that much.
Not that much. Not so much as I'd
Why
like
do you feel guilty?
I don't know. It's strange because I try to tip really well when I do it, but there's just something about it that makes me feel, I don't even know if it's like a labor issue and it's more that I feel like I'm disconnected from the world and that I should be.
Or you're buying into like a Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I should be in the store
of the world.
Picking the things up and doing myself.
I feel very disconnected. Like,
yeah.
I've talked about this on the show, but I had like, I was going into the grocery store into the pandemic, and then like after I was vaccinated and like later in the pandemic, like I started freaking out a lot more. That's when I started switching to getting the delivery. And
Wait, later in the pandemic, you started to freak out more?
Yeah, I used to obviously I'd go to the grocery store in 2020 and wear the mask and stuff.
Sure.
But I think it was post vaccination, maybe early or mid 2021. I was I am not comfortable going to the grocery store anymore, and I started doing our local Vaughn's has you go on the website and you can just shop online, and I did that for not too long, maybe about 3 months, and just keep the mask on and let somebody bring it to me. And I will get into the anxiety of it, but I think it was very much early on in the pandemic, I felt maybe we were all into it together, and then as people got manifesting their own particular weirdness as things went on, and I was I'm feeling more anxious about stuff, and I'll admit it's my weirdness as well. It's not just other people.
No, we were in a global pandemic.
Yeah, but conflicting weirdnesses. I was just I can't deal with going to the grocery store anymore. I made it through the rough stuff, and it's just stressing me out. And so I started doing the where people would bring it out to the trunk of my car, parking lot, and I really did feel disconnected with what people were giving me. I've worked a bad app job before. I have done that shit. I didn't do specifically grocery shopping for people, but I don't think they're purposefully giving you the shittiest banana that they can find. I just think that they are oh, this is the 14th time I've had to grab a banana today or grab a bunch of bananas. I do not care. I don't have the tolerance or the patience to look and see if these bananas are fucked up or not. I'm just okay, more bananas. Get them in the fucking bag. Move on to the next thing. They're just trying to get through their day. Where when you're shopping yourself, it's less routine, especially if you shop once a week. It's oh, let me admire these bananas. You're a fabulous French man at the farmer's market. Ooh la la, these bananas. These are the ones for me. And when you turn it into fucking a transaction, which is what the online shopping is, then it becomes a transaction. You get what you get. So that's where the guilt comes from me. I hope I'm not speaking too much for you.
No. And I used to go to the store when I only had one child. With two, it just seems like a lot. And it's a funny thing. If you ever want to just feel weirdly good about yourself, but also bad about the world, be just a guy who has a child and goes outside. Because at least in Washington, D.C., people would just come up to me and praise me. I'm just at the store with my 3-year-old, or you are such a good dad. Well, I mean,
do they ever
she's not bleeding.
say weird stuff oh, daddy's babysitting today?
Absolutely. It's no, not babysitting. That's a job.
That's
at the store with my daughter. Yeah, daddy's day out,
Yeah, it's no, this is a day.
Yeah, whereas Shammy, my wife, would go out with our daughter. People would be fuck you. How dare you?
We just had my sister on, and we really didn't get into it on the episode, but I don't know, we just have so much important memories of grocery store shopping, and it was literally oh, we can talk about it another time. We're talking about a different episode of the show, but she's I have so much memories of going to the grocery store with you and our parents, and I'm we don't have time to get into this right now. We'll talk about it in another episode. But you didn't seem like you had that much memories of going to the grocery store with your family. Are you?
When I was much younger, we'd go to Grawl's, and I think I would often, and you can't do it anymore, but I would stay in the car and read, I think. And so I think I really didn't do that much active grocery store walking as a young kid. I would just do whatever I could. If I had to go into the store, I would sit in the corner and read.
Okay.
So I don't really remember that.
So I've got a grocery store story that I'm surprised after 20 whatever episodes we've done that this has not come out. It's a bit traumatic. So when I was 9 years old, I was at Safeway in Severna Park with my mom, and my brother and I were playing in the front. And my mom was either in a line to check out, or she was just shopping or something like that. But we were playing, where the machines are, you put a quarter in and a little thing comes out, right? Some old man grabbed my arm and said, "You're coming with me, kid," and pulled me. And then I pulled away from him and ran away crying. And then the police came and the police interviewed me about what did he look like. And then it went into the Capitol newspaper. So that's weird. That's
Yeah, I never heard that story.
Yeah.
All these
yeah.
years. Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You just bolted from him? Like how
I
did you-
bolted.
Okay.
I pulled. I remember, like, I physically remember a strong grip on my arm. That's kind of all I remember.
You don't know if they caught this guy. Or
I
what
do.
it is. Yeah.
His wife saw the article in the Capitol, and she said, "I think that was my husband," and she like reported him.
Wow.
You're a hero.
Yeah.
Well, you right.
I don't. Yeah. I didn't do anything. I just ran. But
You alerted the media to the presence of this big psycho, and you got him. Hopefully,
he claimed it was a joke.
No.
Well, look, it's funny. It's really fucking funny to hurt a kid, to grab a kid and to scare them. So,
a strange kid in a grocery store.
I'm sold for sure.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's a joke. You were being an asshole.
That's. I mean, I don't want to speak as a parent because I sure ain't a parent, but like that felt like a big thing in the '80s was like maybe like kids being taken in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I would love to ask Ben about this as an actual parent, but I feel like I heard this story about like a Costco in the '80s or early '90s where like they like grabbed a kid in a grocery store and like dyed his hair or like shaved a mohawk into his hair like so that he would look different so that they could escape with him. Like they like grabbed the kid, took him to the bathroom and like dyed the kid's hair.
That's why we can't have hair salons in grocery stores. There's one incident.
That's like the villain plot of an '80s movie. Like that that's the type of thing you would not, like a Home Alone or something. Like you wouldn't think that would actually happen.
But you got grabbed. I mean, you lived it. You
Yeah.
had that fucking experience, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Is that why you're so into online shopping, Ben?
No, I don't think so. In fact, I let my older daughter kind of go into the next aisle ahead of me to get something. It gives her a sense of freedom when we do go to the store. I don't worry too much about her coming back with a different haircut.
I don't know. Yeah, this like a big blue mohawk on a little. It probably wasn't the mohawk, but I think I heard a story like they bleached a kid's hair in the bathroom and like tried to sneak him out unbeknownst to the parents and stuff. So, yikes! I'm glad that you didn't get a haircut in that particular grocery store.
Yeah.
So,
The detail that I remember that's embarrassing. Well, it's embarrassing because my brother laughed at it, but it's also maybe funny. Maybe he liked it. Is the cop asked me, what did he look like? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, he's it's funny.
I'm really excited about this.
I was like, he had like gray hair, and I was like, he had whiskers. And because I think I had heard that was a term for somebody who was like not clean shaven, but also it like maybe kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
So that she's like, what? I was like, like he.
You know what this kid said? Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the quote that the cop got out of me. That he had whiskers.
I'm sorry to make so many jokes out of your
I don't
trauma.
care. I don't care. I mean, I'm all right.
You're here now.
that's kind of what we do here.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, that's the purpose of this.
We glossed over the thing, but like, do you find California grocery stores different from East Coast grocery stores that much?
Yeah, I mean, like a thing that's happening in the country in general, right, is that like cool places are a little bit less cool and bad places are a little bit less bad. Everything kind of flattens out is my experience. Like you can get things in Annapolis, Maryland that you could not get 20 years ago. But certainly my experience as a young person was just like moving to California, that it was incredible. Like that there's this fruit and fresh avocados and everything else. Like there was a pretty profound difference.
I believe, Jef, and to that point, I think you were right at a point with this theory that has come up almost every episode.
It's a pet theory of mine. It's like
I don't
plastics.
I don't think it is necessarily right anymore.
Okay.
I think that where we are in the high desert is almost, I know we're in California, but it's almost emblematic of that. I think the specificity of stuff that we can get here is probably pretty comparable for like suburban Ohio or something.
Yeah.
With some caveats, but like give or take. And maybe not 20, 30 years ago, but now I think we're kind of there,
I mean, maybe it was just that I was so underwhelmed by the Brooklyn grocery stores when I moved to Bushwick, when I moved in with you.
They were terrible.
No, that's a real thing. And I mean, again, I've heard you talk about this we have a parasocial relationship in addition to somewhat of a social one. And the most recent time I went to a grocery store in Brooklyn, I was sober. I couldn't fucking get out. I mean, I could not figure out where the exit was supposed to be. And it was not big, but it made no sense to me, and I found it to be a very unpleasant experience.
I mean, when you're going into the grocery store, it's like performing live. It's like maybe have a beer, and it makes a little bit more sense when you should have a beer before you go to the grocery store, a Brooklyn grocery store, to sort yourself out and figure it out.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you need to have a beer just before you do anything to get your head straight, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Brooklyn, yeah, whatever. You meet a friend at a bar, and then you go to the Gelson's. They should have a Gelson's bar in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever had a drink at a bar in a grocery store?
Yeah, there was a bar in the Whole Foods near us when I lived in D.C., and I got one once, mostly just because I thought, I should get a beer here, but I don't know. I mean, I know that's all.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like that really. We had this horrible Whole Foods, and that's another episode as well. In Silver Lake, right where I used to live, and like that was the first place I was like, oh, you gotta go get a cider and a wine. And my partner's Australian; she loves cider. I'm like, I guess let's get a cider. And it was a very weird experience.
So, okay, the Gelson's, which has come up multiple times, the Gelson's bar, it's lit like a grocery store. So it's like it does feel like you're in a grocery store. There's another Whole Foods in Southern California that's kind of the same way. They had a bar just like, if you imagine like, here's the fish, like a fish kind of cool aisle, and then right next to that is a bar, and the lighting is all the same, and like no real demarcation. There's another Whole Foods in Southern California where the bar is like separate, and it's lit kind of like a bar, and that feels a little bit more like I'm not in a Whole Foods anymore. So, in my opinion, it is about lighting and demarcation more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, the one of the Whole Foods near me was like a whole restaurant, like a cafe, and they had a grill, and there'd be TVs in there, and I just couldn't really make sense of it, and I didn't understand it and still don't.
I'm bewildered myself by this.
Yeah.
What, when you say grill, are you talking griddle? Are you talking like outdoor?
Yeah, no, it's inside upstairs. It was a second floor in the Whole Foods, and they were making like burgers and chicken sandwiches and veggie patties.
Wild.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Oh my gosh, I don't like Whole Foods enough to think that I would want to try that, but maybe one day for the purposes of this show. That's the fun of doing a podcast. We get to say, I'm going to go get a chicken sandwich at the Whole Foods in San Francisco on the roof to find out what
content.
Exactly. Yeah. Never would I ever want to eat that in my day-to-day life. Did you try any of the food?
No, of course.
Yeah, okay. There's better things. If you're making saffron risotto for your daughters with crab legs, you don't want to eat at the Whole Foods.
That was an aspirational dish. It wasn't a normal dinner.
Normally you eat gruel.
Yeah. Normal life eater. I guess it's sludge. It's a type of sludge.
And are we ready to jump into the topic?
Yeah.
All right. We're here to talk about plastic. Is that right?
Yeah. So, depending on when this is released, a few weeks ago we released an episode with Claire, and it was about paper versus plastic, and it got me. I would say, It's Always Sunny, Charlie, or the corkboard meme. It got me like that, and I just kind of kept researching more and more about plastic in the U.S. and how it directly connects to the grocery store, but also the global geopolitics of that and how it all sort of connects.
I'm going to sound like a very dumb guy in front of our guest right now, but Adam, you and me, since we've been doing this show, we're learning I don't know if it's the secret history of the 20th century, but grocery stores is so. It feels very much like a manifestation of the 20th century. As goes the 20th century, so goes grocery stores, maybe more as a symptom than as a cause, perhaps.
Well,
But
yeah.
And I think plastic would go very much hand in hand with all of this. It's another hand in this particular mix, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
That didn't sound dumb to me.
Okay,
thank you.
You said hand too many times.
All right. I'm a magician. Look at not this one, but this one. I got one hand up, the other one's behind the back. Don't pay no mind to that one.
Yeah. So I guess probably maybe I don't know. I don't even know how I'll start. I'll say that in doing this research, we're going to lay out sort of a web of interconnections that, as far as I can tell, not too many people are making. And actually, one of the things that frustrated me a little bit was like, there's far fewer academic work on what we're going to talk about than I expected.
Which I think probably connects. It was like weirdly hard to find primary sources.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of discussion about the types of sources that once existed, but you couldn't find much to work with.
So, I mean, what the sources that we would want is the oil companies sort of scheming and direct quotes and stuff like that. And that's basically what we couldn't find. We should start by just understanding that plastic is a oil and or natural gas byproduct. And in some ways or another, it's complicated, but you can say that plastic was almost treated like, or the specific chemicals that go on to be plastic was almost treated like a waste product to some degree, in that, not that it was like just thrown away and poured down the drain, but it was just previously sort of burnt up. And they figured out a way to split some special chemicals and still have some gas and then also make plastic. So it became this sort of secondary byproduct for the oil and gas companies. And so plastic has been around not a long time, but it began its push maybe about the 50s.
Let me ask, so when you're saying like a byproduct, so like
Yeah.
before plastic, they said like, we are going to take all of this like byproduct and just set it on fire and like throw it up into the atmosphere and like, how does, like, if I'm just burning a bunch of shit, where am I starting to see this plastic? Is it like a residue from this, or did they start like separating it?
So natural gas is the one that I was researching today. So natural gas is made up of like a handful of actual chemicals. The big one being methane. That's a very flammable one. So there's also ethene in there, and previously it would just all burn, like in your stove or whatever. Both chemicals would just burn, because methane was and the other one had some kind of burnable energy, but was not a major source of it. But then they realized, like, oh, if we create these machines that can separate these two, we can still have methane and burn it, and then we have this other thing that we can use for plastic and other purposes. But plastic, yeah. Does that kind of answer the question?
I think so.
So yeah, they figured out machines to split these chemicals up. And previously they knew, I guess to some degree they knew how to do it, but it wasn't valuable for them. It wasn't worth it for them to do it. In 1956, Modern Plastics observed, not a single solid market for plastic in existence today was eagerly waiting for these materials. Each new plastic product faced either fearsome competition from vested materials or inertia or misunderstanding and acceptance, all of which had to be overcome before plastics gained a market. So basically, starting in the 50s, these scientists were like, this is a big deal, but we're going to need to go on a PR blitz like you've never seen.
I'm really like trying to think, and I'll pop that question back to y'all as well. Like, what is a thing that, like, I mean, we think of plastic as so like essential right now, but like, what is the thing that you have that you use all the time that you're like, oh, this is the best use case for plastic, but that wouldn't be better if it was like wood or metal and made in the 1930s?
There was a lot, I mean, we can get into this with the 80s and 90s, but there was a lot of like plastic is more sanitary. Mm-hmm. You know, wood, paper can get wet, bacteria can spread. Plastic can seal things off. Plastic is crucial for medical.
Yeah, I do think in the medical industry, like IVs and stuff like that. Like,
you can't have a paper bag for that.
Yeah.
This is like dripping saline all over the place. I'm leaving a trail behind me. I'm like a damn slug.
For sure. Yeah, that's something that like it has a completely legitimate use case, and I don't think too many people have a major problem with them doing IVs.
I've got a wood stint.
Yeah. So that's sort of where it started. And, you know, I mean, there's the famous quote from, what is it, The Graduate, where he's like, plastics are the future, you know, and that was like the mid 60s.
I have never seen The Graduate. Does it take place in like Is that a historical thing, or is it?
No, it's like in 1968.
Contemporaneous.
So they made it in the 60s, and even
Yeah.
in that movie, they're the babe of fossil fuels, calling the shot, call it invest in plastics.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the joke is that it's like a uncle drunk at a party being like, you got to invest in this thing. It's going to be
This is the future. Written by the great Buck Henry.
Do you know the critic version of that scene?
No.
The beloved to me, the John Lovitz cartoon sitcom, The Critic. He flashes back to when he was a kid, and he's like, they do the graduate scene, and his dad says, "You got to invest in something. Snapple."
That's funny.
Anyways, but yeah, so that was like, I don't know. I did people invest in plastic after that scene? Was like that paid for by like the plastic?
No, I don't think. I think that they were trying to capture the countervailing. The same way that like some drunk uncle would talk about AI right now.
Yeah, or like it's 2003 and somebody says like computers. It's like that type of thing.
Yeah. So that was mid-60s. Okay, so and the other thing that I think a lot of people just don't understand about plastics is that it is that originally like Mobil, which went on to become ExxonMobil, was the leading plastic manufacturer. So it is the oil companies, especially then, were the plastic manufacturers.
Big fan of ExxonMobil until you told me that.
Yeah.
I've never heard a bad thing.
I
But
mean, Adam, I remember telling me that you're a big Valdez guy.
drunk ship captains, ruined penguins. That's my shit, man.
So, quote, one of the companies with a huge vested interest in opening new markets was Mobil Oil, then the leading producer of polyethylene film, blah, blah, blah. They wanted to develop an extensive line for substitutes for paper packaging. Its bag on a roll had replaced paper sacks in grocers' produce sections, and its hefty trash bags had helped alter people's longtime habits of lining their garbage pails with newspaper. So now we're starting to see where grocery stores sort of fit in. And this is the 60s. That's the mid 60s. And first they're saying, okay, well, produce. We'll use it for produce. The next major use case was meat, because they were formerly wrapping it in like wax paper and stuff like that, and then frozen meat would like stick to the wax paper, and it would like be hard to pry out. It would become fused kind of. So meat storage was the next major use case.
Meat feels like the meat industry feels like the organic oil industry, right?
Yeah, totally.
Similarly problematic.
And similarly on the cutting edge of destroying the earth. Yeah. So and then in the early 1960s, Mobil began eyeing one of its most lucrative paper products of all time, the retail shopping bag. They had already spent years trying to develop. Everybody wanted a stand-up, square-bottom thing, because that was the normal thing. You stand it up and you put your groceries in flat, and everybody was like, "That's what we need. And if we don't have that, then it's a total waste." Essentially,
Did they figure that out? I don't ever see a plastic bag that did that.
No, they didn't. They figured out how to get us to accept the other side.
Just like, all right, what do you just talk about? And Ben, are you a paper or are you a plastic guy?
Oh, paper all the way. Yeah.
They never I didn't realize until you just told me this. The plastic bag never stands up.
Yeah.
The paper bag will stand up. You just drop the stuff in it, and you watch the people shoving their shit in the plastic bag, and it's like a million times worse. I never like I've been blinded to that. Is that have I been propagandized?
Well, sort of. Yeah, that was the major sticking point at first, because everybody was just used to that being a thing, and also like not only would it stand up, then they'd put it in their trunk and it would be flat, so it wouldn't roll around.
Well, maybe talk about this, but there's this urban-suburban divide over paper and plastic.
Yeah. Tell us.
Really?
Well, just that plastic was marketed towards people who lived in cities who might need to walk up flights of stairs and be able to carry. The idea being that you can carry 7, 8, 9 plastic bags instead of 2 grocery bags. So in the suburbs, it's paper bags, and in New York, it's plastic bags.
Really?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you can carry more shit, and then you can buy more shit too, also.
Mm-hmm. There you go. We love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we get into like the broader theory. And this is my current thesis that hopefully Ben is going to help me put forth.
The background here.
Yeah. I believe that then we get into, in the early 70s, we get into a major global oil crisis, which we're going to talk about the history of. And I believe that led to the oil companies really wanting a hedge against the weirdness of oil prices and seeing like, oh, well, we have this way of taking the same product, splitting it off into this other thing that could be lucrative. And that thing is not going to be at all dealing with these weird global politics in terms of pricing. So let's put more into that. That's the thesis. So tell us about the oil crisis of the early 70s.
Right. So I need to give you a little bit of a background here to make sense of this. But basically, people are familiar with the fact that starting with the Second World War, the United States becomes the richest country in the history of the world, and that there's a growing middle class. And so basically, like, investment in production is expanding at a dramatic rate in the 40s and the 50s into the 1960s. And this works because the middle class is growing and there are lots of new consumers. And also, in the non-Soviet part of the world, the United States has basically a monopoly on consumer markets. So if you want a car or a radio or whatever, you're buying American. You get into the middle of the 1960s, there's a profitability crisis because basically, like, for lack of a better term, the low-hanging fruit has been plucked. Like, most people who want to buy things and have the means to buy things in America have them. Like, you have a job, you already have your 2 cars and your television. And then internationally, West Germany and Japan are producing cheaper and often better performing consumer goods that are eating into U.S. markets. So firms start to cut capacity because they're realizing, smaller profits on things that they produce. So they're laying people off. They're, canceling planned investments in new factories, and unemployment starts to tick up. It goes from like 3.5% in 1969 to like 6% in 1971. Richard Nixon's the president. He's running for re-election. Even if you don't know a lot about history, you might be aware that he's famously unscrupulous. And he decides that the increase in unemployment is politically bad for him. So what he wants to do is to juice the economy in whatever way he can. So in 1971 into the summer of 1972, he just spends money everywhere. Way more money on the war in Vietnam. Government hires way more people. Like direct payments to people, 20% across the board increases in Social Security payments, just as much money as he can inject into the economy as possible. Now, he's worried that this is going to create inflation. So in August of 1972, there's a 90-day price and wage freeze. It's like the most nakedly transparent thing maybe in American history. It is illegal. There's no enforcement mechanism. It's against the law to raise prices or wages until essentially the week after the election. So it very literally, there's no enforcement, but you can't tell your babysitter, I will pay you $21 an hour. Like, that is against the law. So there are all these inflationary pressures, but there's no inflation because it's against the law to raise prices. So those are 2 things, right?
That's so clever to just say that bad economy is illegal.
Yeah. No, it's smart. Yeah. So those are 2 things. There's a third, and then we'll get to the oil crisis. So basically, like, all these inflationary pressures, unemployment has been ticking up. Spending all this money brings unemployment down, but doesn't actually do anything about the investment and overcapacity problem. The third thing is balance of payments. The American dollar is the global reserve currency, which means that, like, if Japan and Germany want to do a deal, they've got to do it in dollars. Dollars are convertible to gold, which means that if at any point Japan has like $10 million, they can say to the United States, take this money and give us gold in return, and the U.S. has to say yes. The U.S. is incentivized in making sure there are dollars abroad because that, like, is what keeps the economy going. But also there's a risk because if everybody at the same time wants to make claims on gold, the U.S. runs out. So Nixon takes the dollar off of gold. It's not like tied to a literal, before this it's tied to an actual physical amount of gold. And this has a couple of near-term effects. One is that the dollar loses value. So Japanese and German goods become more expensive. And then that leads to, like, American firms raising prices. So these are more inflationary pressures without doing anything about the underlying problems in the economy that are slowing employment. So even before the oil crisis, you have basically like all this stuff that Nixon has kept a lid on because he wants to win, but that is pushing for inflation and higher unemployment. So that's what brings us like to 1973. In 1973, there's an oil shock. The short version is that the oil-producing nations, in protest of the United States supporting Israel in the war of 1973, stop selling oil to any company like country like the U.S. that had supported Israel. So this quadruples the price of oil. Oil is an input in like 50% of consumer goods, and this makes inflation explode. It reduces profits even further, and unemployment starts to tick up. And that's the start of stagflation, where you have high inflation and high unemployment, which had not really ever happened at the same time before.
Yeah. So, and it was the story. It was the story at the time. So everybody, long lines at the pumps. Everybody was talking about it.
I'm not familiar with the 1970s because I was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
But the thing when you hear like, what was the problems of the 70s? I didn't know that they outlawed paying your babysitter more.
I didn't know that part either.
But I did hear that the gas was a problem.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
That's like kind of like the main like one of the main like local American problems of the 70s. Gasoline was too expensive.
Yeah.
So
the gas manufacturers, this is where plastics start to fit in. The gas manufacturers, and this is where the primary sources I want a quote of the gas manufacturers saying, we need to move into plastics because the oil market is volatile. That's what I'm looking for. I was not able to find that. But all of their actions.
You were looking for like a specific, like a oil guy doing an interview or
Yeah.
like saying on like, Charlie Rose, like this is what we're trying to do. Like this is why we're moving out of plastic.
You can find that as of the past 20 years or even 10 years.
Is this people looking back?
No, modern, because
Okay.
they're saying that the future of cars is electric. So burning gasoline is going to be a thing of the past within 20 to 50 years. So we need to still have a market for our oil, and that's going to be plastic. So they do say that now, and we do have those primary sources. But back then, I can't find it. But what we do have is they ramped up almost immediately surrounding the oil crisis. They ramped up plastic production and chemical plants that can do this kind of a thing.
So not to push back against Adam, but everything he's saying is true. But I think a lot of that push starts to happen after the next crisis.
Okay.
Because that's just the first of the two oil shocks.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where we are in the 70s. Everybody's freaking out. I don't know if it matters too much that the actions of the government to fix oil pricing. I don't know if that matters too much. But suffice to say, the price of an individual barrel of oil is volatile to nth degree. And then then we get into.
Have y'all ever seen a barrel of oil?
No, not in real life, I don't think.
I'm curious, is it metal drums or is it plastic? Like, maybe they could be smart and like make the oil out of the oil barrel out of oil. But
yeah. Why do they make the holes playing out of the black box?
Yeah. So then we get into but the conservative, I guess maybe also liberal pressure became like energy independence at that point. So we need to stop relying on the Middle East for energy, and a big part of that is natural gas. So natural gas is not oil. It is a different form of energy that in the U.S. we happen to have a lot of.
it's when I eat too much lamb dolmas. At a party yesterday, and then I wake up all bloaty and I'm stinking up the joint.
I mean, that is methane.
Yes.
You're
And it's profit that you stick up the broom with. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, Ben, about natural gas at the mid-70s.
Jimmy Carter's the president. It's 1978, and there's this idea that, as Adam said, oil prices are all over the place and they're really high, and that the problem is that we have a dependence on foreign oil. The other thing is that the U.S. Congress can regulate interstate commerce, but not intrastate commerce. So there is a price cap on oil that is sold from one state to another, not that is sold within a state. So Texas can charge way more for oil in Texas than it can for selling oil to Massachusetts. So you have like a crisis where the states that don't have extraction, like New England, don't have access to oil. And there's the sense that like foreign oil is a big problem and we need to be independent from it. So the Natural Gas Policy Act of 1978 does a bunch of complicated things, but the basic idea is they want to incentivize natural gas in order to break our dependence on foreign oil. So they essentially make it so that you can charge way more for natural gas, which does incentivize natural gas production. It also incentivizes people to buy more foreign oil, which is cheaper than expensive natural gas. So like success, more natural gas is produced, more inflation, and way more foreign oil coming in.
Not success for their goal.
Right, yeah, so failure.
And when I think of importing versus exporting, like French wine's way better than American wine. No offense to Northern California.
No, I agree. Yeah,
Australia. My partner's Australian. We drink a lot of Australian wine. So, like, does foreign oil have a better terroir? Does it taste better, or does it work better, or is it the same shit?
Well, the dirty secret, of course, is that foreign oil tastes fantastic.
I think it's the same. I think it's
okay. Because I mean, it does kind of matter where you're growing the grapes or drilling the dead animals out of the ground, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, the basic thing is that because of the Natural Gas Policy Act 1978, it was not really worth it for like Texas drillers to keep on getting oil. So the process of extraction ended up not being worth the investment. But the oil that was available on the open market from overseas was a relatively good buy.
But they did wind up ramping up natural gas production.
Eventually, yes. Like that happens in the early 80s. The whole thing basically could not have failed more and in more different ways because it does also lead ultimately to a massive ramp up in oil extraction in the United States.
Right. And so the central point of all of this is that these things were really, really volatile and burning and people, where you get them. And meanwhile, they have this off-ramp. They have this side market where both oil and natural gas can be made into plastic. And they're like, what if we can just make a completely stable market for this stuff that we actually have a lot of now, even though the pricing is going haywire, and then we just convince everybody that they have to use it. One thing I should say is that going all the way back to the 50s, one of the first usages of plastic was was dry cleaner bags, and
unlocking a memory of my dad just working a white collar job and going and getting his 6 pressed shirts from the dry cleaner with a bag, and it's like we never knew what the fuck to do with those bags. Like,
yeah,
they're so thin and useless.
Right.
Like, you can't put groceries in them. You can't use, literally unusable for anything but dry cleaning.
Yeah. Well, as longtime listeners of the podcast know, Adam wears the same clothes every day, so it's not a problem for him. We talked about that, I believe, in episode 7.
Yeah.
Right.
But the original dry cleaner bags were actually made to be washed and reused. So they actually had to change the public's mentality to convince them that plastic was a disposable thing rather than a thing that needed to be held on to.
And that's what we were talking about with the plastic bag stuff, where I do think, the message that they were trying to convey is like, plastic is considered such a nice, sanitary, healthy thing for the world. Like, who would throw away a plastic bag?
Yeah.
We're going to reuse them forever.
That's right.
We need to tell people that these are shitty so that we can keep selling them new ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next stage in this thing, if I should jump into this, is the Iranian Revolution.
Yeah.
Right, so in the country of Iran, the very brief capsule history is that Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh is elected in 1951. Not a socialist, not a communist, but he nationalizes the Iranian oil industry, which had been controlled by British Petroleum, BP. In return, the United States and the United Kingdom remove him from power in 1953 and help to install the Shah of Iran. Iran becomes a very, very wealthy petroleum exporter. In the 1970s, in Iran, there is an enormous amount of oil money flowing in. It leads to the wealthy becoming much, much wealthier. The wealth does not trickle down. There is tremendous inflation, like 25% a year. And there are 2 dissident movements. There's like a secular trade unionist socialist movement and a clerical movement that is angry at like westernization. The trade union leaders and socialists and communists are mostly sent to secret prisons, tortured and killed. You can't totally stamp out the clerics because most people are religious. And in 1978, there is a strike. Like the oil workers stop working. It destroys the Iranian economy. They are not able to pay anything. It all falls apart. There's a revolution. The only vehicle that has any political legitimacy is the clerical movement. There is a revolution, and that gives us the Islamic Republic that exists today. The end result of this is that overnight, like 6% of the global oil disappears because that was coming from Iran. And then everything gets way worse than it had been before. You get inflation at like 13%, unemployment at 9% and climbing. And that's where a lot of these oil and plastics companies start to really, really push the idea that single-use plastics are the future.
Yeah. So kind of concurrently, not jumping back too much, 1976, the CEO of ExxonMobil, or not ExxonMobil, it was just Mobil at that time. They were so excited about this bag, they decorated it in red, white, and blue in honor of the U.S. bicentennial, which I think is a good metaphor for this whole kind of thing that we're talking about, right? They're just, this is the future. And, they weren't wrong necessarily.
There was also a Ziploc bag ad about how they were good freezer bags, and the tag was Ziploc, a bag strong enough to win the Cold War.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Keep that steak from sticking. I guess.
Yeah. That's what the Russians want.
Okay.
Those Russians are just fucking with sticky steak all the time. They just love their sticky steak.
Okay. So now we get to why we're doing this on a grocery store podcast. Quote, it was clear to the budding bag industry that to win over consumers, it would have to win over grocery stores first. One trade group, the Flexible Packaging Association, launched a public relations campaign that urged grocers to, quote, check out the sack. It's coming on strong.
I don't like that. Check out the sack.
Adam said it to me so many times this morning.
And then meanwhile, the bag companies reached out to grocery stores directly with educational programs to help grocers overcome shoppers' distaste for the bags. They put together training programs that told them how to actually pack the plastic sacks.
It's bizarre. They're only sacks until like the late 1980s.
Okay.
The Grocery Sack Council, etc.
The sack always like, you're going to get sacked. Or you're going to get fired. I guess that's more British, but like, that feels like, Monty Python type of language.
Well, there was a lot more whimsy in America.
Yeah. Now bag is just like,
Yeah.
It's more of a bummer, which the plastic bag is a huge bummer. It's one of our main bummers.
Quote, once we started to get the Krogers of the world to change, it was pretty much over, recalled Peter Grant, a veteran of the business, now head of a Los Angeles bag company, Command Packaging. This is all from a book called Plastic, A Love Story by Susan Frankel. This is like their intentional goal was the supermarkets are the epicenter for the revolution, the material revolution that we're trying to put forth. And it was pretty successful as far as we can tell, right?
Yeah, and one of the things that happened, so in the 70s, plastic actually becomes really expensive because of these oil inputs. But after the second oil shock, energy prices are so high that it becomes relatively cheaper to produce plastic goods than metal goods and glass, which just cost much more in energy. And so a lot of the ads, taking it out of the realm of grocery stores, are things like, put more plastic in the car. The car will be lighter. You're going to save on energy costs. And then we get also to the idea that energy costs associated with cutting down trees, that's bad for the environment. And to the idea that single-use plastic is the way to be energy independent and the way to save the environment. Or at least that's the idea that Mobil offers.
And I don't think we're going to get into the recycling myth because there's a lot that's been written about it. But this is also around the time that they realized, oh shit, people are leaving these all over nature trails and everything, and that's bad PR. So we need to put the burden on them to make it their fault to not litter, which was a direct campaign of them. And then we also need to convince them that recycling is the way, and don't worry about this single-use disposable thing because we'll just recycle it anyway and it'll be fine.
The recycling triangle, which was created in a contest sponsored by the Container Corporation of America in
I love these
1970,
names of these
was
things.
adopted by the Society of the Plastics Industry in 1988. And so there's no patent, but like the 3 green arrows is like a plastics industry branding to show this is a recyclable product. And by buying this, you're helping the environment because no trees are getting chopped down.
Adam, I've got to ask you this as a recent transplant to our high desert, where we have big open spaces. We are away from big city epicenters, I guess, big urban epicenters. And all of our plants are fucking sharp as hell.
Yeah.
And famous for catching plastic bags. Like, is that something you've noticed as a recent guy out here, that all of like the yuccas and Joshua trees are like plastic bags?
There's also fences. There's like barbed wire and stuff around that I see those catching it. Yeah, for sure. There's tons of just blown plastic
And
bags.
I'm sure some of it's locally generated, but it also feels like a lot of these Mylar balloons, and that's a different story. That's a different episode. But plastic bags are like blowing into town like tumbleweeds and just sticking on our pointy ass plants. So
You can just see in the early 1980s that there is a concerted effort to push plastic, and in particular disposable plastic. And so there are a number of like New York Times and LA Times articles that we found where you can see, mostly like from a distance, people talking about the push from the plastics company to go to war with big paper to get single-use plastics into the stores, and the way that they're trying to do this. You can carry them up the elevator. They're sanitary. They're not going to get moldy on you. They're not going to rip in the same way. And so there's, I think, a clear indication beginning in the late 70s, early 1980s, that the plastic industry is on like a full court press, to bring it back to sports, to get single-use plastic in America's grocery stores.
And there's a ton of ads from this period of just from the Plastic Council or whatever, just pushing the idea. I remember vividly, we had a recording of Ewoks that my dad taped off the TV.
Oh my gosh, I know that it exists. I'm always a little skeptical that it exists, but like,
The Ewoks?
you've never seen Ewoks.
You've never seen it?
Never ever.
I don't know if I would recommend it.
I don't think I've heard it's good.
It's good for kids, maybe. I liked it, but it had commercials in there, and when we watched it a few times, and I remember vividly there was a plastics commercial. This would have been the late 80s. And it was like, plastic makes it possible. And it was just all these like shots of like good things, including medical stuff, but also like car stuff. And it was just, just that was it. That was the commercial. Plastic makes it possible. There was not to buy anything.
Speaking of commercials, I do have a commercial, which if you'd like me to play, speaks to some of these themes. This is from the American Plastics Council. Plastics, it saves energy TV commercial. And we'll get the...
When you look at plastic, you know how it helps things stay fresh and safe and light and unbreakable and strong and easy to carry. But take another look. Plastic also saves energy because it helps make cars lighter to save gas. And plastic insulation helps save energy at home. Even these strong plastic bags help save energy because they take less energy to make than other grocery bags. To learn more, call this number for a free booklet. And take another look at plastic.
I called that number, by the way. They didn't offer me shit.
Well, I collect plastic council booklets. Like, I have Jack Chick tracks and plastic council booklets about explaining all the benefits of plastic. It's my thing.
Yeah.
Adam, you couldn't see that. That was like the most abstract checkout I've ever seen. Like, it was like a lady had just like the vaguest like hand wave towards grocery store checkout. Like, gray conveyor belty thing. You heard the cash register sounds, and it was just like such like a like we don't really care about that.
You can tell these people have no respect for the art of shopping.
But I'm going to get into modern times in a second. But before we do that, I just want to mention that Coca-Cola, like 2-liter bottles, milk were plastic, and these are supermarket things that that didn't exist until the late 70s, and then they became so ubiquitous that us born in the 80s, like that's just sort of what we think. Oh, milk comes in a plastic jug, or Coca-Cola, like that's just what it comes in.
I remember them switching over to like, and I guess I always had the normal like the 2-liter straight bottle of Coca-Cola plastic bottles. I remember probably in the 90s when we were kids, they introduced the one that was like well, it's way better. It's shaped like the old glass Coca-Cola bottle that you remember.
Yeah.
But actually, it's like 1 liter, but it's plastic, so it's way better.
Yeah.
And when our parents were growing up, milk and soda were delivered by hand. Yeah. And it would dribble, but that was just how we did it.
Yeah.
What was it? What did they? I never got the glass milk delivery. Does it dribble?
No, I just meant that they would cup their hands and put the milk in there. Yeah.
Please, sir, can I have another?
Yeah.
You really got to know your milk delivery some more days.
Well, a stereotype might suggest the milkman was maybe somebody that you would get to know a little bit, a lot, actually, maybe to the chagrin of the husband. But if stereotypes of the 50s and 60s prove true, I was not around for then. I've never had sex with a milkman.
Have you worked as a milkman?
We'd like never have I ever, because
Well, I can tell you guys, I've told this a million times socially, but y'all are from the Washington, D.C. area.
Yes.
And the grossest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life is I was getting onto, there was a bus line from New York City to Washington, D.C. called the Chinatown bus. And it would take you from one Chinatown to another Chinatown. And one of the last times I came down to visit D.C., I watched a guy, a youngish guy, take one of those like 1 liter Coca-Cola plastic bottles in the shape of a glass bottle. He turned it into a shoddy. Which, are you familiar with a shoddy, Ben?
enlighten me.
Okay. It is like you take a little plastic soda bottle and turn it into kind of a makeshift bong. So it's got water in it, and it's got like maybe a pen cap as the carb. Is that what you call it? I'm not.
The carb is the whole, I think.
Okay, you use the pen cap to maybe put the weed into, and you can take a big bong rip. And I watched a guy take a cigarette and rip a third off of the cigarette and shove it into the nasty little Coca-Cola bong and smoke it and take a huge hit. He did that with 3 cigarettes.
See, no weed.
No weed. Yeah, I just watched him pull cigarettes out, rip the cigarette into a third, shove it into the little thing, light it up, take a huge bong rip of just a cigarette out of a nasty little 1 liter plastic.
Yeah, that's how we do it at home. But I imagine you just light the cigarette and put it in your mouth. No, not us.
And then he got on and drove the bus. He was the bus driver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the last time I tried to take one of those, it caught on fire, and we got a cab to the train station.
I have
took a train to New York instead.
done that in probably in Maryland, where you do that one stop on the way back from New York, and then they're like, he tried to turn the bus around and got stuck on like a small residential road, and he's like, oh, that's it. Everybody off. And so we all like coordinated cabs the rest of the way to DC. But it wasn't the cigarette guy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so modern times, Exxon CEO recently said crude oil and hydrocarbons are going to play a critical role in everybody's life for a long time. I think the question is do you continue to combust them? And I think that will change with time depending on how technology develops. Why? Because the the oil company is seeing plastics as a key outcome that can make up for losses in other markets. Investing in plastics, therefore, has become a key strategy for fossil fuel firms. That's from Greenpeace. And then president of the plastic nonprofit group, it's an anti-plastics group, plastic production is the plan B for the fossil fuel industry. So that's where we are now. And I think the roots start all the way back then when we're talking about in the grocery store largely.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Do we have any final thoughts on plastic bags?
No, I don't think so. Not for me.
Okay.
I could do a little. I could do my little riff, but I don't have to.
What's your riff?
That was like a little Donald Trump on grocery stores.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
I'm good. Picked up on SNL now. All right. So, grocery, which is a word that, it's a good word. And what it is, it's like it's not a restaurant. You don't buy, but it's a big place. And you go, you get bean and bacon and coffee, and you don't eat it there. It's not a restaurant. You bring it home, or if you're a little bit hungry, maybe you have it in the parking lot. And how stupid are we, by the way, that we elected Sleepy Joe, who with Crazy Nancy, and I call him Two-Buck Chuck, and some people call him Dumb Fuck Chuck, but I call him Two-Buck Chuck. And prices at grocery were getting so big. People were saying for cereal $20, $25. I think it was frankly a little bit more, $25 or $30. And we've been doing. You're going to be so happy because we've been talking to Tony Tiger, and we've been talking to Toucan Sam, and we've been talking to the Cheerio bee. You remember the little bee? And we've been talking, and we've been making incredible deals. And so we're going to find that cereal and bean and bacon and all the things you love at grocery store are going to be a little bit cheaper. And so you're going to be a lot cheaper, frankly, a lot cheaper. And you're going to be very happy with what we do. So, all right. I wanted to fit that in.
Yes. I'm glad we got that in. Yeah.
Incredible. I didn't know you could do such a good impression. Saturday Night Live will certainly be calling. You're a lot funnier than Colin Yost.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Hard to be more unfunny. Maybe cut that out. I would say it on the radio all the time.
Yeah, that's fine.
My joke on the radio is that Scarlett Johansson's the funny one in the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's a good one.
yes.
Yeah, but he's the best actor.
He's also the prettiest.
Yeah, the most beautiful for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. This has been Clean Up on Our Podcast. Ben, if people want more of you, where can they find you?
Well, they can register for my classes, which are a little bit under-enrolled right now, although that's true about all the history courses at Skyline College. But I'd be happy to have you. And if you live in San Mateo County, that's tuition free. So come on down.
All right.
Otherwise, look out for me next year when my classes end, when I try to weasel my way back onto your grocery store podcast.
All right. This has been we'll definitely have you back. This has been a big treat. So
thank you, everybody.
yeah. For Adam Fligsten and myself, this has been Clean Up on Our Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Bye-bye.